Well, you're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Right now at 7, a Joplin High School student has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take part in a prestigious summer program. Also, another arrest has been made in Oklahoma in the case of 2 Kansas women killed in early April.
And we've got some scattered thunderstorms moving across our central counties and Joplin right now. We'll continue to alert you as we see more thunderstorms develop.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowe.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney, 7 o'clock on this Friday morning.
Yes, and it's an alert day today in our area and into the weekend. Lindsay will have more about that in just a few moments. But in Joplin, a high school junior will spend this summer participating in a Massachusetts Institute of Technology program. The prestigious opportunity is available to only about 80 students globally.
KOAM's Fernanda Silva has more.
From demonstrating basic science to elementary school students.
Now the key is to make sure that this piece of paper is not too wide.
To spending the summer in one of the most prestigious universities in the planet, MIT.
Because it's selective, it's a very small group of students who got accepted, and that allows you to develop tighter connections with the other students and with the faculty teaching the classes.
The MIT program offers a 6-week residential experience aimed at introducing rising seniors to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
I have a passion for STEM, and I take a lot of time out of my day to practice STEM and to learn about STEM. And so taking part in this program it really helps me truly know that I have a place in STEM.
Carvener knows exactly what that place is. He hopes to go to MIT for college and to become a physics researcher. But before that, he also hopes to bring that knowledge back to Joplin High School.
Next year, when I do another physics research project at the science research class here at the school, I'll have an even better pool of knowledge to pull from in making another research project.
Christian's teachers say they can't take too much credit for his achievements.
This summer I was taking my kids to the library, and sure enough Christian was there studying matrix algebra, just of his own volition, not even taking a class or anything.
I just feel like I've been a small little blip in his success. I mean, it takes a lot of dedication.
A commitment that makes them proud.
It's amazing because I know that's his dream, knowing that he actually gets to go spend time there and work with people that are in his expertise. It is very, very rewarding.
It makes me really proud to have been like a teeny tiny part of that and to have encouraged him.
For Carvener, a chance of a lifetime. But he wants more.
Helps me know that my future in STEM is looking bright.
In Joplin, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Nearly 4,100 students applied this year, and academic records is one of the factors considering for acceptance. Certainly a wonderful accomplishment there.
It is.
And yes, as we mentioned, we have an alert day today.
Yes.
We've already experienced some thunderstorms right over our studio. We went out on air over on CBS KOAM. So
yeah, we got some hail in the area now as well. It did start to die down as it passed us, but let's take a look outside and see what we can expect in some of the bigger populated cities out in Joplin. Still low 60s. They are getting some thunderstorms as well, and faster wind gusts. We can see wind gusts up to nearly 60 miles per hour with some of these storms passing through. Not to mention hail as a threat. It continues to stay a threat throughout the rest of the day, but smaller hail is expected for these morning storms. About less than an inch to golf ball sized hail is what we're expecting, and even larger hail possible later on this evening as we're seeing those storms develop on the dry line. We also have a elevated wind risk due to those faster wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour in some of these stronger storms, and a elevated tornado risk and even an enhanced tornado risk in some of our northern counties, and not to mention they are in a hatch zone in that northern counties. Now, main threat for tornadoes is still going to be early this afternoon around 4 to 7 p.m. tonight, but we will continue to watch it as we did see a tornado warning issued in a storm that passed through Tulsa just 30 minutes ago. Tornado warning has expired, but we are still having a severe thunderstorm warning issued, for some of our southern counties nearing Miami. Let's take a look at the radar. We have this a few storms. This is the storm out in Pittsburgh, just passed. It is starting to diminish. We saw a couple hail cores and brought us some smaller hail even over our station right here. But as it passed, we are going to see it start to die down, and it's continuing on still. Heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning, not to mention faster winds as well. Now, you can still expect some faster development. We saw it's moving pretty fast, but the hail core was just east of Pittsburgh and is continuing to move northeast. Now, another smaller storm right behind it that we'll get in the next few minutes, and this is that main threat I'm concerned about. It's a bowing line, meaning some severe threats. Those winds are incredibly fast with this, and all of that lightning is also a main threat for this storm, not to mention the hail. Now, they are watching some rotation on radar, nothing too significant, so they haven't issued any kind of tornado warning, but we'll continue to watch that as it progresses into our area.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, the fifth suspect has been arrested in the killings of two Kansas women found buried in rural Oklahoma earlier this month. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation said 31-year-old Paul Grice was arrested and taken to jail. He faces 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and a count of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Authorities say Grice admitted to taking in the part in planning and killing of 27-year-old Veronica Butler and 39-year-old Jillian Kelly. They say he also admitted to taking part in the burial in a cow pasture. 4 other suspects, including a married couple, have also each been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and other charges. Well, all this heavy rain has led to flooding in parts of the 4 states. This is video of Northeast Star Valley Road in Cherokee County, Kansas. With all the rain, it's important to remember the old saying while driving, turn around, don't drown. It was Ladies' Night at the Ace Hardware store in Miami, Oklahoma. The event gave women a chance to enjoy some food and drinks while shopping through a garden sale. It wasn't just for the store, though. All of the proceeds go to a Children's Miracle Network, which helps cover medical costs for families with kids in the hospital.
Even being able to do this. So it's really a collaboration, right? We have a lot of partners. We have a lot of vendor partners. We have vendors here cooking, and we have vendors here sampling stuff and doing giveaways. We had all of our raffle prizes were donated by vendors. All of the things in our goodie bags were donated by vendors, right? So we actually have a lot of support in doing these events.
There were also raffles and swag bags. And those are our top stories in this half hour. Coming up next, hundreds of students are protesting the Israel-Hamas war on college campuses across the nation. We'll have the details on the impact this is having as the spring semester comes to a close.
Looking for high quality and low price and a great night's sleep only at Denver Mattress.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, a federal agency restores rules for internet providers. The FCC has restored net neutrality for internet service providers by a 3-2 vote. The new rules require internet providers to treat all internet traffic equally and restrict companies from bottlenecking certain sites or apps. The rules also prevent providers from reserving higher speeds for services that customers need to pay for to get around intentionally slowed down internet. The Biden administration is cracking down on power plant solution in an effort to fight climate change. The EPA issuing sweeping new mandates Thursday, including strict controls on carbon dioxide emissions at existing coal plants and newly built natural gas plants. Power plants would now be forced to capture smokestack emissions or shut down. The action is part of Biden's pledge to eliminate carbon pollution from the electricity sector by 2035. Hundreds of arrests across the country as protesting over the Israel-Hamas war intensifies at some of the nation's biggest colleges and universities. Fox News senior correspondent Steve Harrigan has the story.
Chaos at Emory University in Atlanta. Officers with weapons and in tactical gear forcibly removing people who set up an overnight encampment on campus. The school later saying activists were trespassing and were not even part of the university. Similar scenes of violence at Boston's Emerson College overnight, where more than 100 people were arrested after police removed tents in a public alley. Meanwhile, demonstrations were a lot calmer after dozens of arrests at the University of Texas at Austin Wednesday.
It's definitely gotten out of control.
But as protests over the Israeli-Hamas war grow at colleges and universities around the country, there is fatigue setting in for some, especially at Columbia University, where the protest movement started.
There needs to be a serious disciplinary process. The NYPD needs to take them off our campus. These students need to get off the lawns so that I can graduate.
But that's unlikely to happen anytime soon. Protest organizers say they are still negotiating with school administrators.
There's no deadline. It's a timeline for negotiation. It's not a deadline to bring police enforcement or any other law enforcement.
Earlier in the day, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar even stopped by the encampment with her daughter, who attends Columbia.
I just wanted to see and make sure that that we were hearing from the young people that it is peaceful.
USC canceled its graduation due to security concerns. Columbia may do the same. In New York, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
That's it for Nation Watch. Now let's check in with Lindsay for a look at the forecast.
We are seeing some storms passing through Pittsburgh and Joplin, dropping a lot of rainfall. We're going to keep an eye on that as it continues out of the area. We have another storm system moving into our southern counties, and it looks to be a stronger storm. It did produce some radar indicated rotation out in Tulsa, has since started to diminish, but we're going to keep an eye on that as it continues into our area. Now, coming up, we will have some tips on how you can help save American bird populations.
Welcome to Miss Daisy's Home and Decor, and give your home the makeover it deserves.
All right, so we've had a few storms already starting pretty early this morning, just after midnight. We had a bit of a lull, and then more storms started to kick off around 4 a.m. This is out in Pittsburgh, a lot of rain, and Joplin, a lot of rainfall, as we did see a storm just pass over both locations. We have a severe thunderstorm warning issued for some of our southern counties, and it's not going to be as severe as what we just saw pass through in Tulsa, but we are going to keep an eye on it as we see that system continue into our area. Now, this is the storm that just passed Pittsburgh, had a hail core as it passed Pittsburgh, so we got some hail, light, small hail, but still, hail can be damaging. Now, as it moves on, it's starting to diminish, so we aren't seeing too bad of severe threats with this, but there is a flood warning since they are getting a lot of rainfall, not to mention a lot of lightning as well. So it's going to be pretty loud, scary thunderstorm, but severe threat is limited. Now, Joplin's also still getting some rainfall. We've got some more rain moving in through Fredonia and heading towards Chanute as well. But this main storm line that I'm looking at, we got that severe thunderstorm warning, and that's issued until 7:45. So it's going to continue for the next 30 minutes. And we see it starting to bow out, which means there could be some pretty significant severe threats with this. Although main threat is the fast damaging winds, up to 60 miles per hour. However, the good side of that is as the wind continues to push the storm faster, it starts to outrun the warm front that it's on, meaning it's going to enter into an area of more stable air mass. So it'll start to die down as it moves through our area. We're going to keep an eye on it though. It has damaged, brought some damaging winds, knocked down tree branches. We've got reports all the way to Tulsa and out to Oklahoma City. Not to mention, they have enough damage that they are thinking that there was a tornado that dropped just east of Oklahoma City. We're going to keep watching that. Still, damaging winds are being reported along with this storm. We're going to keep an eye on it as it continues on. But hopefully it starts to outrun that warm front and diminish as it moves through our areas. We will see some severe threats, a lot of lightning, still be pretty loud, and may see some hail, but it won't be as strong as what Tulsa just saw. They are still seeing some slight rotation with that, but it is not going to be as strong as what they just saw. Now, not to mention this morning and through the early hours and this morning, we also have another round of storms moving in early this afternoon. Around 4 to 6 p.m. is when we're going to start to see those effects. Now, main threats with that will be hail. We've got a significant risk of hail along this hatch zone. We've got fast winds, so an elevated risk for winds up to 60 miles per hour, and an elevated risk of tornadoes as well, not to mention the northern counties seeing that enhanced risk in a hatch zone. So pretty significant threat for tornadoes in the northern counties, just clipping them. Now, main threat's still going to be later on this afternoon. We see some of these storms develop along a dry line. And let's take a look at that. We're going to see for the rest of the day as these storms progress. This is about 8 a.m. 45 more minutes, we'll see these storms continue to progress into our central counties and eastern counties through Joplin. Heavy rainfall is going to be main threats. We're seeing a lot of flood risks with all of the rain that we're getting yesterday and through Sunday. Then as we get into later morning hours, it's about 11 a.m., we see some more stronger storms start to move in. Some hail cores, possibly dropping hail up to golf ball size. We're going to watch out for that as well. And fast winds. Now, as that continues on out of here, we'll have a break just around 2 o'clock. It'll continue off to the eastern counties. And then around 4:30, we start to see the development along this dry line. And it's not going to be as widespread showers as what we saw today, but it will be an isolated thunderstorm or two along that dry line. If they do kick off, there can be some pretty severe weather threats. We'll see tornado threat, hail threat, pretty large hail, and fast winds, not to mention all of the rain that we're still going to be getting. So this will be coming through. This is 5:30, and as it makes its way through Joplin, it'll be about 6:30 in the afternoon. It's still going to continue on into the later evening hours. We have this alert day set Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Watch out for that, especially Saturday. Those storms are developing overnight. So after nightfall, we could see some tornado development on Saturday, and it's pretty dangerous since there's no vision on those tornadoes. And then again, Sunday afternoon. We'll continue to update you if any of these storms start to kick off. We get any more warnings or alerts, we'll be immediately updating it on social media and possibly going live.
Kansas Crossing today at 4 Eastern on Fox.
America's bird populations are facing a threat in urban environments, with huge numbers being killed off annually. Michael George looked into why it's happening and what's being done to prevent it.
Flacco the Eagle Owl spent a year establishing his celebrity, with sightings across Manhattan delighting countless New Yorkers.
I saw him many times. It was always a magical moment.
Sadly, Flacco's journey ended in February when he died after striking a building. He touched so many people, crowds gathered in Central Park to remember him.
He meant freedom. He meant resilience.
Flacco escaped from the Central Park Zoo after a vandal cut his enclosure netting. Somehow, the bird defied the odds and managed to survive in the city for a full year. A necropsy showed Flacco had 4 different rat poisons in his system, which could have contributed to his death. Cities are dangerous places for birds. The Audubon Society says up to 1 billion birds die in the U.S. each year from window collisions alone.
We need to do protections to keep such things from happening.
Rita McMahon is executive director of the Wild Bird Fund. She's pushing for a new bill called the Flacco Act, which would require buildings in New York to have bird-safe windows with patterns birds can see. Advocates also want cities to adopt non-lethal methods to kill rats. Rat poison also kills birds.
And all these deaths are totally due to human activity. The fact that 3 billion birds have disappeared since 1970 is something we have to take very seriously.
One simple thing we all can do, turn the lights off at night. Advocates say that eliminates one hazard that can help keep birds flying for generations to come.
Even the glow of city lights can disorient birds, disrupting their migration routes and making them more likely to strike windows. Well, coming up, an Oklahoma bill aimed at reforming a time served for prison sentences stalls. We'll have the details coming up.
And we're continuing to track some storms moving through. We've got a tornado watch issued now for Craig, Ottawa, and Delaware County. We'll keep an eye on that and alert as we continue into the storm.
4 months. Shop now, spend less, and get more. Only at Ashley.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. I'm Elise Snowy. The mother of a 1999 Welch, Oklahoma murder victim is advocating for justice, but it seems, at least for now, her push for reform is stalled. In 1999, Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman went missing, and Danny and Kathy Freeman were found dead. It wasn't until 2018 that a suspect, Ronnie Busick, was arrested. Busick pleaded guilty to accessory to murder in the case and was sentenced to 10 years in prison with 5 years of probation. However, after 2.5 years, Busick was released. Lauren Ashley's law would add to the list of crimes mandating offenders to serve a longer portion of their sentence. It was passed by the Oklahoma House and the Senate Judiciary Committee, but is now stalled. Yesterday was the last day for the bill to be heard on the Senate floor. Laura's mother, Lorena Bible, says she will now have to try to have it filed again next year. Well, students in McDonald County yesterday helped fight hunger in their community. The organization Meals of Hope partnered with McDonald County FFA to pack meals of rice and beans for local residents in need. They packed an impressive 25,000 meals, working together in assembly lines to make sure no one goes hungry.
I hope to gain that, I don't know, like next year I hope we have way more involvement. That way a lot of people do it. It actually helps people in need. I'm just glad that that is there for it.
This is the second year the students have packed meals. The Skill Resource Center yesterday hosted a customer and community appreciation picnic. The center supports independent living for people with disabilities, and the event provided a way to celebrate their clients and the community that supports them.
I think really it's about seeing that the disability community is out here and we are living in our own homes and we are part of our community and we are contributing to our community, to all the parts of what that means, So it's just good to get people out and let people see that, hey, we are a huge
The Skill Resource Center is created by, driven by, and focused on people with disabilities, their families, and communities. Well, it's not often you hear about a birthday party at a library or one for a cockatiel. That's exactly what happened yesterday at the Erie, Kansas Public Library. Bjorn the cockatiel celebrated his 20th birthday yesterday, though the library says he could be anywhere between 20 and 25 years old. He's become a staple at the library, alerting staff when someone arrives and playing with children who come in.
Well, for the most part, he loves little girls, and so as a general rule, he sings to them and he says pretty bird. Boys, not so much. Little boys put their fingers in his cage and he's not real thrilled about that. But for the most part, lots of times the kids come just to see the bird because he's different, and he's been here forever. Most of them, he was been here when their parents were little kids. So, he's a fixture in the community.
Attendees got to take part in some Bjorn-themed crafts. The Joplin Police Department wants to let people know about a bicycle safety fair. The fair is designed to bring safety awareness to families about cycling and being on the roadway, as well as learning about mechanical safety and routine bicycle maintenance. The fair will also feature numerous vendors, emergency vehicles, food trucks, and an obstacle course. The event takes place on May the 4th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the parking lot of East Middle School at 4594 East 20th Street.
Well, we do have some severe storms passing through the area. Right now, still just sitting off of our southern counties, but out in Joplin, still rainy, temperatures low 60s. They will start to warm up. We have a warm front passing through the area right now. That's what's causing us to have these storms. And right now, light winds as that storm just passed outside of Joplin. Now, we do have some more severe threats, hail being one of them, pretty significant hail risk through the storms this morning and even later this afternoon. Wind threat as well, elevated wind risks up to about 60 miles per hour in some of these stronger storm cells. Now, tornado, we have an elevated risk and an enhanced risk in some of our northern counties, which with that hatch zone as well in those northern counties. Main threat for tornadoes is still going to be later this afternoon, but as that dry line approaches, we'll see if storms do develop. If they do, then we'll have that elevated tornado risk. But for right now, we're not seeing too strong of storms passing, too severe storms. We are seeing some strong ones moving in. There is a tornado watch issued for Craig County, Ottawa County, and Delaware County. Although they're not seeing any strong rotation, it is a severe thunderstorm, and they had some severe thunderstorm warnings already issued for those counties. Keep an eye out. We are going to experience some hail, fast winds up to about 60 miles per hour, and heavy rainfall as well. Now, the rainfall contributes to all of the flooding that we're having, especially some flash flooding out in Pittsburgh and Nevada through that area. As that storm passed through, we've got another round of storms moving into the area, dropping a lot more rainfall. That's going to continue all weekend long. We do have those storms passing by now. We had some hail earlier in this area, so if you were out there and about, you may have saw some smaller hail, but right now it's clearing out and we are tracking the next storm system pushing in. It's now south of us, but it is starting to make its way in. A little bit of a Boeing line coming out, dropping some heavy rain, possible small hail, and even some really fast winds, damaging winds. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and we'll alert you as we continue into our area.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Shannon Becker shares his big 3 stories of the week.
Outpost Casino is giving away big help.
Well, welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker in the studio with his big 3 news stories of the week. Good morning, Shannon. Thank you for being with us this Friday.
No problem. We're just chit-chatting, catching up. Let's take a look at the big 3. What's happening this week? As a couple of evenings ago, a fire at a house in North Royal Heights, a home that we'd actually been to this last year. A person was rescued out of a bedroom, transported to an area hospital. Joplin Police or Joplin Fire Department update us, say that she suffered serious injuries. Cause of the fire was poorly discarded smoking materials.
Wow.
Not necessarily sure what all occurred, but they did have 4 dogs. Yes. Dogs were rescued, dogs were fine, but just have to always be careful about something like that because, you know, animals can knock things over, et cetera, et cetera. Number 2, KOAM News Now, the Menards, this is what they're calling their grand opening week, began this last Sunday.
Yes.
With the chainsaw carver, John Gage. It was really cool. He sold these, talked to him.
Quite impressive,
yeah,
yes.
Really,
I
really
believe
cool.
he'd been there working with Menards for
31 years.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Menards has everything. Hardware, milk, Pop-Tarts. Like, I've never experienced anything like that.
Did you get yourself some Pop-Tarts?
No, I did not.
No.
Menards also, the race cars are there now. They arrived yesterday and they'll be there through Saturday night. It's really cool because I even asked some of the workers, where are the race cars? They're like, we don't know. It's so big in there, they did not know.
Huge, yes.
But I found them by the elevators. So if you go, look for them by the elevator. Menards, elevators, remember? That's huge. Our number 1 story, we're all still living it a little bit right now. This is yesterday, Kafer Road. It seemed like there was an imaginary line across the middle of Jasper County at the top. Kafer Road actually goes into Kansas where KOAM is. A lot of flash flooding. The road, water was over the road. But it didn't do any damage necessarily. People had to do a lot of turnaround, don't drown. Carthage, reportedly 5 inches of rain. That's the golf course there.
5 inches,
yeah,
wow.
My good friend Debbie Springer caught that. Carthage Chamber of Commerce, they captured these images right there in front of their place at the Carthage Memorial Hall across the street. And then Highway 37, this is Spring River, which is going to continue to come up and go down. I had to sit for a while to see who was going to try and cross it.
Yes.
Because that's pretty intense.
It really
well,
is.
there
Look
they
at
went.
That.
I had my camera going because I'm like, I want to catch this, right? I'm going to be popular on the TikTok-y or something like that. No, I'm totally kidding. Nobody was injured. Everybody turn around, don't drown. All right, going to be storms this weekend. So that's your big 3 this week.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. Stick around. We'll be right back with more weather and news.
It's a massive warehouse overstock.
Severe storms started off after midnight tonight, then we had a bit of a lull, and then more storms started to move in about 4 a.m. this morning. We're continuing that trend through the early morning hours. This is out in Pittsburgh, Kansas. We see a lot of rainfall already pass by. They do have a flash flood warning issued as well. And 7th and Range Line, overcast, and right now, storms just passed, so we do have a lot of rainfall on the ground there too. We also have a tornado watch issued for Craig, Ottawa, and Delaware County out in the south, or southern counties down there. No significant threat for tornadoes, but they are under a severe thunderstorm watch as well as that tornado watch. There's some slight rotation. We're going to keep an eye on that as it continues to progress into our area. And then not to mention the flash flood warnings all the way through Nevada, and we also have flood warnings issued in Joplin as well. Due to all of the rainfall, we're getting just rounds of rain, heavy rainfall, fast winds, and small hail as well. We're going to keep an eye on that. This is a system that is dropping a lot of rain, giving us that flash flood warning. Now, hail was a significant threat near Nevada, but it has started to diminish, so it's calming down for the time being, but we are tracking another system also looking like it's starting to diminish. As it started off near Tulsa, there was some significant tornado threat. There was a tornado warning issued due to radar indicated rotation, but right now just a severe thunderstorm warning issued until 7:45 and 8 a.m. and it's going to progress into our area. So we've got a few warnings in some of those southern counties, but as that line of storms, since it is pretty windy out there, winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour, pushing these storms ahead of the warm front. As that happens, they will start to diminish as this instability is greatly diminished ahead of the warm front. So these storms are going to start to fall apart as they continue into our area. So that severe threat isn't as big of a concern as of right now for our areas. Now we are still watching a few more of these southern storms, although they're still tracking just south of us through Arkansas, maybe Fayetteville, not really hitting any of our counties. But as you can see, these storms are pretty strong. There was a lot of damage from the winds, not to mention a radar indicated tornado out near Oklahoma City. So it was a very strong storm to start off with. Right now, still starting maybe a little stronger. We have lightning risks, fast winds, heavy rain, some small hail, but that tornado risk has started to decrease as it continues into our area. But you can see a lot of lightning, so we're going to keep an eye on these storms. It can still be pretty dangerous. Then we have another round of storms moving in on the dry line this afternoon. Those storms will produce some significant hail risks, not to mention faster winds as well, as we see this morning, about 60 miles per hour winds in some of these storms, and an elevated risk of tornadoes and enhanced risk of tornadoes in those northern counties. That's due to the dry line. If those storms do develop, we will see some of those severe threats, but we're going to take a look and see what we can expect. So this is later on in the morning, about 9 a.m. We see the line of storms starting to die down a little bit, but they'll reignite about 11 a.m. through the Joplin area. We have some stronger storms, probably hail was the main threat with those, and not to mention the lightning as well. It'll continue on. Joplin getting a lot of consistent rainfall for the next several hours, and as that moves off to the east, then we're going to start to track that next system moving in this afternoon around 4 p.m. Along the dry line, we'll see some development of isolated thunderstorms. Not going to be as many as what we saw today. Today we had those scattered thunderstorms, but with these isolated ones, that threat is pretty significant. So we're going to keep an eye on those storms and the development later on this afternoon. As of right now, we're looking pretty calm. We do have those thunderstorms, but nothing too severe, and we're going to continue to update you as those storms progress. Now we'll go over to Elise with Consumer Watch.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, the Biden administration enacts new financial planning rules which could affect how you prepare your investments and retirement. New Labor Department regulations will require some financial companies to prioritize client interest over the company's interests. The move aims to prevent improper recommendations, conflicts of interest, and companies gaining high commissions off bad client advice. Well, Tesla gives a look into the near future and how you might call for a ride in one of its own self-operating vehicles. The electric car maker unveiled more about its ride-hailing ambitions for consumers to access rides in its autonomous driving vehicles. The company says hailing features will be available in its Tesla app and could include a summon button. The ride-hailing option could also be a hybrid between cars owned and operated by Tesla and vehicles that are owned by customers. Well, TikTok's Chinese parent company said it won't sell the social media platform as a United States ban looms. On Thursday, ByteDance denied plans to sell after reports surfaced it was exploring the sale of TikTok's U.S. business. This is the first official response from the Beijing-based company on the matter. Under the current U.S. law, TikTok is now forced to find a new owner within the year or be banned from the United States entirely. Those are our top Consumer Watch stories this morning. Now let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Darren McFadden Hall this morning at 10, right here on Fox 14.
Well, one pill can kill. That was the message federal and state partners stressed as fentanyl continues to circulate through Minnesota. The DEA took about 2.5 million lethal doses of fentanyl off Minnesota streets last year alone.
Despite that eye-popping number, it's not enough. It's going to take more than just enforcement to save lives.
In this room,
we're all working together.
Everyone is fighting to save lives.
If we bring fentanyl to Minnesota, wherever you live, we're going to go out and get
Fentanyl is a dangerous synthetic opioid that is 50 times more potent than heroin and responsible for ripping families apart.
It's been along for almost 4 years.
Including Michelle Lobergs.
Just really wanted to say goodnight and thought I was proud of her.
Instead, she walked in on her 20-year-old son, Nicholas, unconscious, suffering from fentanyl poisoning after purchasing what he believed was heroin. That day, she lost a piece of her, but she's turning her pain into purpose.
Just need to get awareness out about fentanyl.
In 2022, nearly all of the 922 synthetic opioid-related deaths involved fentanyl, according to the state health department. That's why federal and state partners are working overtime to keep pills off the streets.
It's not getting better, it's getting worse. The pills are cheaper. The market's being flooded, and so we need to do both, as much enforcement as we can and decrease demand.
With those cheap counterfeit pills, people may not know what they're buying is cut with fentanyl.
7 out of 10 pills that we've tested have that lethal dose.
DEA Special Agent in Charge Rafael Matei believes enforcement combined with education can help bring this crisis under control.
We're not going to be able to out-arrest ourselves out of this. We need the public and parents and teachers
to educate on the dangers of just one pill.
Well, it certainly is dangerous, and it's an important reminder to remember that one pill can kill.
It definitely can. It's very dangerous out there, so watch out for that.
Yes, certainly.
And watch out for weather. We've got some pretty bad storms moving through the area. We have a tornado watch issued for Ottawa County, Delaware County, and Craig County. Although tornadoes not imminent, we can expect some severe storms to be pushing through. We're going to take a look at their radar too as well. We'll see those storms starting to fall apart. They're ahead of that warm front, so they're not as unstable as what they were just a few minutes ago when they passed through Tulsa. We're getting just some widespread severe thunderstorms, but they do still produce some severe threats. We're getting small hail, fast winds up to 50, 60 miles per hour in some of these storms, and a lot of heavy rainfall. These downpours are causing some flash flood concerns, not to mention the already flooded regions that we have had due to the storms yesterday. So we've got more storms continuing and another round coming in later on this afternoon. We're going to keep an eye on all of these storms this morning. Those will continue until about noon today. We'll have a bit of a lull before the next round of severe thunderstorms will start to move in later on this afternoon. We're going to continue to update and alert throughout the rest of the day. We've got more storms moving in this weekend as well. Alert days today, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll have more right after the break.
Tomorrow, a four-state hero.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Heavy rains led to the flooding in parts of the 4 states. This is video of Northeast Star Valley Road in Cherokee County, Kansas. With all the rain, it's important to remember the old saying while driving, turn around, don't drown. A 5th suspect has been arrested in the killings of 2 Kansas women found buried in rural Oklahoma earlier this month. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation said 31-year-old Paul Grice was arrested and taken to jail. He faces 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and a count of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The push to reform time served for prison sentences in Oklahoma seems to have stalled. The Oklahoma bill would add accessory to murder to the list of crimes mandating offenders to serve longer portions of their sentencing. Ronnie Busick was arrested in 2018 and pleaded guilty to accessory to the murder of Danny and Kathy Freeman. He serves only 2.5 years of his 10-year prison sentence. The bill was passed by the Oklahoma House and the Senate Judiciary Committee, but is now stalled. Yesterday was the last day for the bill to be heard on the Senate floor.
We're also going to experience some thunderstorms today, tomorrow, and Sunday. We've got an alert day for all 3 days. This morning we've had a few storms already. They're going to continue to pass through early this afternoon. We'll have a bit of a lull before the next round of storms start to develop on a dry line, bringing us some pretty severe threats this afternoon. We've got another round of storms coming in Saturday overnight into early Sunday morning, and then again Sunday afternoon. We're going to keep you updated on that. If you stick with us on social media, we'll have any posts for warnings, alerts, watches, any kind of significant thunderstorm development. We'll be posting on there all day long.
Absolutely, and we will, of course, also be live on KOAM News at noon. Well, April's full moon, known as the pink moon, was spotted rising off the coast of South Carolina on the evening of Tuesday, April 23rd. An ex-user captured this footage of the moon rising above the horizon from Barracleaf Acres.
According to NASA, the pink moon is named after a wildflower rather than the actual hue of the celestial body. The flower, known as moss pink, is native to the eastern U.S. and is a harbinger of spring.
Gorgeous. Look at that. We certainly aren't going to be seeing any pink moons with the weather that we're
No, I wish that would be so
yes,
awesome.
That would be gorgeous.
I know I've seen an orange moon before, the harvest moon.
Yes.
I've seen that in Memphis before. That was really awesome.
Ooh,
yeah. Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather updates at noon as well.
Have a great rest of your morning.